Good evening. Welcome to that Millwall podcast. This is Monday Night Live. After today's game being Easter Monday, Bank Holiday Monday, we are doing a show after the game. Sorry for the slight delay. We have the Alex Neil press conference, which we will be starting with in a minute. None of us have seen it yet. So just thinking that we can all watch it together live as such. And those of you who just want to watch the press conference, that will be up on our channel shortly. So joined tonight by the one and only Frankie.
How you doing, mate?
Good evening. Not bad. You?
Very good, mate. Enjoyable afternoon down Wednesday for everyone, I think, involved. So
yeah, that's it, innit?
Look forward to talk about it, mate. Yeah.
Good game. And also the results went our way, which we never really expected, which again, we'll go through those as well in a little while. We've got some talking points. And people who think he's my twin brother, but he ain't, the one and only Matt. And before you chime in, Matt, happy birthday, fella.
Thank you very much. I mean, there's 3 points is always a good birthday present, but yeah, thank you very much.
No, not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. Talking points for tonight then. Millwall beat Norwich 3-1. I want to talk about Ivanovic. I want to talk about Azeez. I want to talk about Norwich response. I want to talk about possible where we are now with the playoff implications. To be fair, I don't think it's on, but we might as well talk about it because other people probably will be talking about it. And it seems to be the general occurrence. I think I'm in a WhatsApp group with championship clubs, and the conversations going on in there is certain teams want it all to be over now. Some don't. Some think they're relegated when they're not yet. So talk about Norwich struggles, look at the match stats, talk about the goals, and then obviously look at some stats from the game and stuff like that. So I will bang in the intro. We will have a brief discussion, and then I think we'll head straight in just really to get your thoughts on the game, and then we'll have a bang in on the press conference, and then we'll come back and start discussions from there. Both of you okay with that, or would you prefer we don't run the intro and we just go straight in with a press conference? Should we just do that? Do we need we don't really need the intro, do we?
Whatever makes you happy, mate. Let's do it, mate.
I'm going to go small intro, then the press conference. So, ladies and gents, watching exclusive to us, to courtesy of News at Den. After the intro will be the press conference with Alex Neil post-match, Millwall versus Norwich. And as normal, Frankie, give me 5 minutes just to make sure that the upload button I pressed didn't upload. So if you can just tell us your thoughts on today's game while I just make sure that it's loaded. Go on.
Yeah, no problem at all, mate. I guess let's not overcomplicate it, really, mate. I think that was absolutely outstanding. I think particularly in the second half, I don't know about yourself, Matt. I'm really struggling to think of a more complete performance in that second half of the season. What are your thoughts, mate?
Well, I think it was important to have a bit of a bounce back after Friday's result, and I personally think that's what happened on the pitch today. As I said, it was a complete performance. It was a good team performance more than anything else. I thought the back line looked solid, very much solid. Now that when Tanganga went back, the midfield was strong and compact. I don't think no one had a terrible game to a lesser extent, and I was really impressed with that, and a bit disappointed. There really, truthfully, should have been more than just 3. To be honest with you, although we didn't create any more than what the goals got the scoreline suggested. But Norwich weren't there to sort of really compete, if I'm honest with you. So just a shame that it was only 3-1 because I thought it could have been 4 or 5. But it was a good response after Friday's disappointing result against Blackburn. That's for certain.
No, I completely agree, mate. I think you look at the game. I think we were definitely value for 3. I think you could make an argument for more. There was obviously the offside goal, which was chalked off. I'm not sure if that was off, and there was another chance for Coburn. It was
never offside.
Yeah,
never offside.
Didn't look off where else. It was behind the goal, but didn't look off. And I guess if you want to be really critical, right, it would have been how nice it would have been for Evans to get a clean sheet on his debut. That's the only other negative, I guess, really. It felt like a cheap goal to give away at a potentially quite important moment of the match, but and it would have been easy in that moment for the players' head to go down and to lose that second half, so to speak, to come out and actually grow. We were impeccable at the second half. I don't think any of us saw that second half coming, did we?
No, I don't think we did. And also, to be fair, I think their goal only come through a simple mistake. You know, we didn't guard the back post, and that's how they managed to slip in. But yeah, I think I saw a little bit of the press conference, which we'll go on in a minute with him. But I think it was where he just said, "Look, there's no reason really for Friday. It was just, it was just bad. It was sort of like one of those things, but we just had to keep the home form going, and it didn't really matter. Whatever happened, we had to keep the home form going, and I think that was it. I think they got the fans behind them. They got them on board, and yeah, the rest was pretty much history as such, wasn't it? Really, I mean, it just it worked and it went.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I think to Matt's point, there's not a single performance you could really sit there and go, they had an off game or they had a quiet game. To a man, everyone's exceptional, including some of the players that you'd maybe look at and say you were a bit nervous about, right? I think obviously the left back, Sturge, you wouldn't be particularly confident about him being out his first start for the club. It would be fair to be a little bit nervous about Evans in goal. See a young lad making his home debut, tricky situation to come into. But they were both, to a man, spot on. They did nothing wrong. Nothing silly. I thought we played a lot of safe football. Particularly in the first half, it was sort of like a little bit risk averse. But that second half, we were so aggressive. We stepped up and we pushed them in their half and played in their half the pitch so often that you just didn't see them ever getting a second goal, did you?
No. No, I don't think you did. And I mean, if you look at the match stats, you're looking at what? Possession, 42% Millwall, 58% Norwich. And, I think even with the fact that it was showing 58%, I just don't think they were ever going to have a chance of getting that second show. So that second goal. So yeah, look, I've got the post-match loaded now. I do apologise for the delay in everybody. And I'll just quickly go through. So Chris Brown, Sullivan, Carl, Dan, Danny, Born Free, Die Free, I'm Millwall, Mark Bennett, etc., etc. Bobby, everyone, good evening, welcome. And I think without further ado, we're going to watch this, and I'd like to get your thoughts on it afterwards, gents, and obviously you in the comments as well, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go over to Alex Neil.
Happened on Friday. It's a phenomenal turnaround, isn't it? In just a short space of time. You must be very proud of that.
Yeah, I think Friday just looked like a game too far for us in terms of the effort, the intensity that we've put into so many matches. I think you can see with that we also some of the lads that have had to drop out for today. I think physically we're sort of stretched as a squad. A lot of the lads have come back, played loads of games, and it's been it's been tough, and they've done so well. So it's difficult to be critical. Blackburn, we were all disappointed, but I think what has happened is every time we've sort of suffered a setback, I think the response has been emphatic in terms of the next game, what we do, how we go about it. And I thought that was probably one of our best performances, especially with sort of volume of chances. In terms of what came our way, I thought we were the dominant team for the majority of the match. In Norwich are a good side, we've got some good players attacking wise. I think they're the second highest goal scorers in the league, so they're going to carry a threat, and we're going to have to deal with that. but more importantly, we need to go and try and win the game for obviously obvious reasons, which we managed to do.
You mentioned on Friday you were still trying to get that balance between having the threat up the pitch and having that control. It looks like you got that balance right today with the number of chances you created, but they didn't really create much, I didn't think.
Yeah, no, I thought the balance was much better. We didn't play enough at Blackburn, that was the first thing. So what happens is if you don't play enough, you don't drag another extra midfield player through, which means when we turn it, they're all intact all the time. So when we're turning it, I just thought we were too direct against Blackburn. We didn't win enough duels, whereas I thought the two centre forwards were a real handful today. I thought it's because we played behind them, drew an extra midfield player out, put the ball into them, and then we could play for there. I thought the wide players, in terms of Luke and Femi, they gave something a little bit different off either side, but Tristan overlaps Luke on that side when he tucks in. On the other sides, that sort of supports from behind. So I thought the balance of the team, albeit Zach starting his first match at this level, George is starting his second match at this level, having just conceded 4 away from home. So we lost George Honeyman yesterday, we lost Billy against Blackburn. Lucas Jensen, as I'm sure you're aware, has sort of ruptured his Achilles. And Liam, who's a second goalkeeper, is unavailable, so we've got young George to play. So we've had loads to contend with, but what we haven't done, we haven't cried about it, we haven't felt sorry for ourselves. We've just got on with it and dusted ourselves down, and we put the lads who are available into the team, and we believe that they're good players. We get them organised and let them go about their business, and they've done brilliantly.
I think that's 6 in 7 for Mihailo. That's a great return, isn't it, in a short space of time? And it's what's obviously put you on the cusp of where you are.
Yeah, he's just grown as a player, isn't he? You know, his link-ups became better, he's leading the line better, his understanding of when to press and how to press is becoming better. His movement in the box is a massive thing that I've been on to him since I walked in the building that he needed to improve on. And as you can see with the chances he's now getting, that's improved hugely. We need to bear in mind this kid's 20. Do you know what I mean? He came to a foreign country, it's his first season at the level, and I think, what's that, 12 goals or whatever he's got now, which is a remarkable sort of achievement for him personally. But for us, I think we've got to pay credit to both strikers. You know, I thought Josh Coburn was very good for us as well, and they balanced off each other really well.
You also said after the last game that you felt the belief dipped a little bit at times, but again, to go out and give a performance like that against a team like Norwich, what does that do for the belief, do you think?
Yeah, I think what happens is, but the belief sort of stems from performances and winning, doesn't it? So when you don't get them, and you don't perform and you don't win, I think naturally belief starts to take a little bit of a dent. But what builds belief back up is determination, organisation, like putting everything on the line, working as hard as you possibly can. So all the fundamentals that really make a sort of successful team, and I think we've got all those ingredients. I think what we just need is we need a bit of time together as a group. But yeah, I said to the lads afterwards, and I've been in this a long time in terms of football. It's a privilege to coach them at the minute. You know what I mean? Just in terms of their application, their attitude, how they approach training, how they treat each other in amongst the building, what their appetite's like, just for every sort of facet you can think of the game. They're a really brilliant group.
Just want to ask about those injuries. Can you tell us more about George's and Billy's injuries?
Yeah, so Billy felt his calf, that's why I took him off at Blackburn. And then George yesterday, right before we went into 11v11 work in terms of preparation for this game, he stretched for a ball, just felt his hamstring, and unfortunately, both couldn't make it.
And are those sort of, it's only 2 more games left in the season, but do you think they could have a chance in
I think
featuring?
they're going to struggle.
Okay, and just on Lucas's injury, how long term do you expect that to be?
As long term as a ruptured Achilles takes, which is it's not pretty soon.
Yeah. Do you think going into most of next season, or just a time frame?
It's going to be a fair chunk of next season.
Okay.
You're back in it, aren't you? So I know a lot's got to happen. It's 2 games, but some results were
Yeah, but
away today.
when you say a lot's got to happen, a lot happened today.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The other results.
Do you know what I mean? So if their results didn't happen today, it wouldn't have mattered.
Yeah.
But the bit that we needed, where a lot had to happen, it happened. And then more importantly, you've got some of the teams that have still got to play each other. So if we can go and win the next game and take it to the last game, like a stranger thing would happen in football. You know, it's what we've got to do is, and I said this to the lads before the game, don't approach the game lightly and then at the end of it have a regret, and in fact everything went in our favour. And it's interesting because at half time I got told that everything was in our favour, and I was swirling my head whether to tell them or not. And I did tell them. And the reason I told them is I'm thinking, if I was a player I want to know what's riding on this game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I told them right before they went out at the second half, and I think you could see that determination and hunger they had to get across the line.
I just want to ask about home form as well. I know you've really improved away form, but 4 consecutive home wins as well at a time when it really, really matters. You know, even if you don't make the top 6, but it bodes well going into next year and making this place a tough place to come, like it always is.
Yeah, I think, if memory serves me right, but what, 10 wins in 16 we've had?
I think so, yeah.
Which in the Championship is tough to do. You know, and bear in mind, if you look at the teams we've just faced, Middlesbrough, Sheffield United, Norwich, I mean, we're not playing, like, the teams we're facing at the moment are good sides, they're hard teams to beat. So, yeah, I just think for our perspective, we're just literally going into each game, attacking it as if it's our last game, try to win it as much as we can and put everything into it, and then see what it takes us at the end of it. So, but I think home form, to get the fans on side, to get that belief, is really, really important. You know, and that was something I spoke about when I first came here, because although we sorted the away form really quite quickly, the home form's probably been a little bit of a slow burner. But as you say, 4 home wins in the bounce, some really tough games that we've had here, and it gets the fans right behind the players, and there's a great connection at the moment which we want to try and maintain.
It's going to be quite tough against Swansea as well, considering they've won 5 in a row. So, you know, to have won 4 consecutive home games going into that would be massive.
Yeah, listen, what happens in football is, like, we were brilliant up until Blackburn. They lost Blackburn, and then everybody will start calling us bottle jobs and all that. Listen, I'm not naive. I've been in football a long time. I know how it works. But what we can't do is listen to the noise. What we've got to do is focus on the next one, because we're not going to win every game. I mean, that's not going to happen. And it doesn't matter who you are, you're not going to win every game. So what we've got to do is we've got to focus. We've got to get on ready for the next one. Like I say, don't feel sorry for yourself. Don't get too carried away because somebody says something nice about you or somebody says something bad about you. So what we do is we focus on the next game and we attack it and see if we can win.
Just one thing you said, probably rightly so, one of the best performances since you've come here. Is that because it was like all round, because the score, just everything clicked?
All round in the fact that Norwich going forward are one of the best teams in this division, and the stats suggest that as well. So people can disagree with if they want. They've scored the second most goals in the league this season, up behind Leeds. So they're very, very good going forward. I thought for how talented they are, we really limited them. I thought we had a lot of chances in the game. I thought we played some nice football at times, but we also mixed it at times, we also pressed it at times. And successful teams take a lot of different ingredients. It's not just about being nice with the ball. I mean, there's loads of nice teams with the ball. And I think at the moment, like Will says, we struck the balance really well today. That was the most pleasing bit for me.
Brilliant.
Just want to ask about Zach Sturge's first start. You mentioned, you know, giving a left-footed option as well. How do you think he did?
Yeah, I hate not having balance in my back line, so that's the first thing. So he wasn't ready for last week. If he was, he would have started. So we had to go with a right-footed left back, which I think is really difficult. And I thought he did great. You know, I thought he started a little bit nervous. I think you could see he was a little bit nervous in the change room. But it's his first start. I mean, it's a big thing. It's a milestone for these lads. And the magnitude of the game as well, being at home, it was a really important match. So, but I thought how he went about it, I thought he was great. So I was really pleased with him.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
So then, gents, Frankie, I'll come to you first. Your thoughts on his press conference. Do apologise for the sound. There will be better when it goes out in a little while or as its own stand-up because it will be cleaned up a bit. But obviously we needed to get it out rushed so that we could get it on here. So, yeah, Frankie, go on. I think the sound was okay. You just needed to switch the volume up a bit.
Yeah, I think everything he said was pretty bang on, to be honest with you. I think around, you know, whenever we've had this squad's had a little bit of adversity over the last however many months, is that they've always responded, right? They responded against Plymouth, they responded against Blackburn. They've stood up when it counted. I think if you're going to be ultra critical, I think there is a question to be asked around whenever the pressure is really on, we do tend to lose. And that's not a Alex Neil problem. That goes back a long time, even past Grauman and such. So that's nothing new, but it's something that he's looking at. But no, I agree with everything he said, mate. I thought to a man, everyone was really, really encouraging. I thought the back four was much, much better. I think Evans looked a lot more comfortable. And we always carried a threat. which hasn't always been the case this season. How many times have we scored 3 goals in a game this season? It's not often. So to do that is, to do that with that many players out is really encouraging.
I think it's good. I think it was just, I like his press conferences because they're honest and there's no hiding from them. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's it. I'll tell you what we will do while you're here, Matt, is let's just answer this. Who's that with him? That is Max, who is the head of communication at Millwall. And your question for you is, what is hip flexia, Matt, as you are a goalkeeper coach, if you can tell us what that is. And also, Danny Chapman said, how serious is that? And someone else says, no, it's not that one I didn't put up. Someone else said that it can be potentially out for 3 months.
Being a goalkeeping coach don't make me a sports scientist, that's for certain. But hip flexor, I mean, obviously, it's no, don't have to be a Sherlock Holmes to understand that that's obviously around the midriff of the body, and obviously hips are very important, not just in outfield players but goalkeepers, about like obviously adjusting their body accordingly. And yeah, I mean, it's a horrible injury to have in that area. I mean, if anyone of my age roughly remember that, it's sort of like it shortened Richard Sadlier's career, a hip injury. You know, if those who remember him, he was going to become a very, very good goalkeeper, striker, but unfortunately a hip injury basically hampered his career. I don't know if that was a hip flexor back then, but if it's not treated well, it will obviously restrict flexibility, and obviously the ability to obviously adjust themselves in line with a shot from a goalkeeper's perspective. So, you know, it needs to be treated well. We need to have the best sort of medical team around that, and we cannot rush him back. So if it's 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, so be it. But as far as I'm aware, it's a lot of movement around the body, because obviously the adjustment of the upper body, especially as a goalkeeper, is key. So I'm afraid I don't know too much about hip flexors to the extent, but I know how much around that part of the body a goalkeeper sustains in each game. So we need to treat him well. Hopefully, I don't know how bad it is. I mean, he didn't sort of like go on too much. He just focused a lot more on Jensen's Achilles, which, you know, don't matter if you're a goalkeeper or a striker or, you know, a left back. An Achilles is excuse my French, is a bitch of an injury, and you don't want that. So, you know, we've got 2 goalkeepers out now, and you know, we need to just make sure we can get them back, at least one of them back ready for August. So that includes a good pre-season, a good rehab, and I know a lot of you are saying emergency loan, but you know, it's not as easy as that, really. You know, we do have goalkeepers that are professionals, unfortunately, that are on our books, so we do have to we can play them still if they're registered as a pro. We have to play them. It's not as if we don't have a registered goalkeeper on our books that is injured.
Is that the way it is? You know, is that pretty much the way it is, that if we have a keeper already here, we have to play them first before we can't go out and get an emergency loan because of that? We can get a loan, but we're not allowed to get an emergency loan because, in theory,
you know, I think it's a little bit different down in the lower leagues. I mean, they won't have probably 3, 4, 5 goalkeepers on their books. I mean, I might be wrong, but obviously at our standard, at our championship level, we had obviously the 3, which was at the beginning of the season, which was Jensen, Roberts, and the lad that we went to, MK Dons. I've forgotten his name now, but yeah, he's obviously gone. And then obviously Georgie Evans has stepped up, so he's our 3rd choice goalkeeper. So he can play. It's just a case that if he went off injured, then I don't know. Then maybe there is an element that we can appeal to the FA that we can get a emergency loan goalkeeper in after that. But as far as I'm aware. I say George Evans has got a squad number. He's on the pro books. He's registered. Then, the FA, in the FA's eyes, I believe it's like, well, we can play. So it is what it is. So it's all down to sort of the rest of the 11 players that are on the rest of the 10 players on the pitch to support him. And more games he plays, the more confident he'll get. End of. That's Bill Noy. He was, fortunately, it was a baptism of fire for the poor lad on Friday. But at the moment, I don't. I think the more he plays, the more confident he's going. I saw a big confidence in the boy today. I was saying to my son watching the game, I said, all he takes is one really good save, and you got 15,000 Millwall, really clapping you on, cheering you on. You can think he'll go from that level to that level in confidence, and he'll be all right for the rest of the season. So let's just I think that's how it is at the moment. But I think in terms of the boys' injuries, it's going to be a long time out. And just as I say, rehab and cheers, Dan. I ain't going to remember that one. And as long as we got the right rehab and the right pre-season for them, they'll come back bigger and better. Because as I say, it's a bit like a hamstring for a striker. You tear that, you ain't going to be the same player. Hip is probably going to be exactly the same. Probably lose a second or two in reactions, maybe a couple of degrees or two in flexibility. You're going to lose that. But as I say, Millwall now need to work hard now to try and get both of them back to fully strength, and then maybe go again in September or in the summer, maybe to get a goalkeeper to support or back up what we need for the start of August. There are going to be some good goalkeepers out there.
Yeah, no. What you've seen with Evans so far, I know it's only been 2 games, and as that you are a coach and whatnot. Do you think that potentially with a summer pre-transfer, do you think that maybe Roberts could get a song out of Evans? And did Connor go? Did we sell Connor, or did he go out on loan? I can't remember.
Yeah, sold him.
Sold him.
Truman's gone.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, Truman.
The rumor was he was shit anyway.
I don't know. I never saw the play, but in terms of George Evans, what we've got to realise again, he's 19, so he's nowhere near his peak. Absolutely nowhere near his peak. He's got a good 6 or 7 years still to work to get to his peak. And I know Marshy really raves about him. I know some of the goalkeeping coaches I know in the circuit and a couple down Millwall rave about him. He reminds me a lot of a Brian Hall, very much so. Especially for his size wise, his height wise, he's very much Brian Hall-esque. But he's got a lot of potential, that's for certain. And you know what? If he can play the next 2 games and does really well with us, I'm saying 2 games, potentially could be 5. But if he plays these games, that gives him a good stead to maybe go back out, maybe on loan next season, to not just because he was on loan at Sutton, but actually step up a level and go to League One, and then his confidence will still be there, and he could be a first choice for a team that might be in League One for August. Saying that, if he does impress and he does really well, then all it takes is someone like Andy Marshall to say to Alex, and he'll go, look, have faith in the lad. So it's a bit up in the air. But if you want my honest opinion, I'll let him play for the next 2 games, see where he's at, and then possibly I would actually send him out to get that more valuable experience that he's gained from the last 2 games and the next 2 games out at a higher level than he did previously, which was at Sutton. So you're looking at a League One.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to go League 2, but League 2, League 1, and just see where he's at there. Because as I said, he's only 19. He's got bags of time behind him, and he'll get that.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And then I do like him. I do like him. I really do like him.
No, I do like that. So do apologies to those on Twitter. For some reason, it didn't start broadcasting live when we did. Have you missed anything? Yeah, you've unfortunately you missed the press conference. So I don't know if it'll be on net or you'll have to come over to the YouTube or wait for a little while and it will be released on YouTube, which is the Alex Neil press conference, which we're currently talking about. But what was your thoughts on how Alex Neil speaks, Matt? I mean, how he talks about the game, post-match, etc.
I love how he speaks. I love every post-match that he's done. I've enjoyed listening to him. I think Frankie mentioned he's absolutely honest. He'll say how it is. He talked highly about the balance of the team today, with Sturge coming in at left back. He talked about that. He wanted a reaction. He talked about the togetherness. Absolutely right. He's not the first manager to say about the togetherness at the club, and hopefully he won't be the last. It's one thing that Millwall thrive on is togetherness and in getting a response from something of a bad result. I thought he didn't dwell too much on the injuries. I know he mentioned the longevity of them, but he didn't use that as an excuse. Most managers in the past have said, well, I've got 12, 13 players out, X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. So what is football? That's why you have a squad. You have to just suck it up and get on with it. And I don't think he delved too much into it. And it's really nice to hear. It's refreshing to hear as well, that the fact that he's saying about how everyone played well, how he likes to play attacking football, how we went at the players, at the opposition.
I think you're right. I think it's. I think what I like with him. Yeah, I think what I like with Alex Neil is that you just get honesty. There's no bullshit. There's no, it's this, it's because of this. We didn't do this because of this. We didn't do that because of that. And I think that's unusual for us with a manager probably over the last 5-6 years who actually takes responsibility for win, lose or draw. And I think with that, I think that then what he does is he takes the pressure off the players. And we've taken the pressure off the players. I don't think there would have been another manager who would have probably told the players that the results are going our way. And the fact that he said that he was thinking about whether or not to or not, and the fact that he did just sort of proves that point that, he's got the confidence in his players to be able to turn around to him and say, by the way, the results are going our way. Now go out there and win it. And that's possibly why the second half suddenly went the way it did.
I also think, I hate it if we went out there thinking we've got to rely on Bristol to lose, Borough to lose, and Coventry to lose. We just go out there and play our game. Go and bloody win the game of football. And I think that's too much. I think in the past, I think we rely on what's happening elsewhere and not think about our own sort of our own game plan. And I'll say it's like the situation when we lost to Blackburn a couple of seasons back on the last game of the season. Whether they thought 3-1 up, we were coasting, we weren't worried about the other results, and they probably did. But I just think just go there and you are Millwall Football Club and just play. Just play. Don't care what's happening elsewhere. Just go and play your game and win that football match. That's all that matters. If you win and the other teams win, that's life. You've gone out there and you've done what you can do. Don't rely on other people to get on with, other teams to help you get into that top six.
No, that's it. So then let's get back to the game. Frankie, thoughts on Ivanovic? Come on then. Let's talk about Ivanovic. Ivanovic is a player at the beginning of the season. We were told he's a young kid. He's come from a foreign league. He's not the finished article. He's not really ready to be playing in the Championship. He's going to take a long time to get ready. He has got some skills, but he's not great. And now all of a sudden we've got a manager who fills him with confidence. He's playing him. He scored 12 goals this season. He scored more than Fleming, and we sold Fleming for a fortune. To me, I think next season is going to be very, very exciting for this kid, because there's something about him. Mate, he's scary, isn't he, Frankie?
Yeah, he's been phenomenal, mate. I think the improvement we've seen in Ivanovic since he first joined the club to what he is now is night and day. I think to be fair to Neil Harris, who obviously didn't think he was ready at the time when he first brought him in, I can almost understand that where he was coming from. When he first he was raw when he. Let's be honest. What you're seeing now is a much more refined player that's coming to terms with the league he's playing in. He looks stronger. He looks fitter. Much more aggressive. We learned how to play with him. I think there was a temptation. We used to always go into his head. Now we're now playing to his body a lot more.
Good question.
And he looks much more confident in himself. So you have to give him credit. And you look at, I'm just looking at the league table now in terms of goals. Tommy Conway is the fifth highest goal scorer in the league with 13 goals. If the Serb can sit there and if the Serb can get 15 goals, he'll be in fourth. And dare I say, if he gets that, we've probably got playoffs. That'd be a phenomenal turnaround for the kid. And I'm just hoping there's not a release clause in there, because if we lose him on the cheap, I'll be absolutely devastated. Because there is potentially this might sound insane, but what would a striker like that cost now to a Premier League side? 20 million. SA was what, 12, between 12 and 15.
I think that if he scores 15, 20 goals next season, I think honestly to a Premier League club, he's got to be worth 20, 30 million. When you look at some of those players out there, what are going for ridiculous money, you would say probably aren't half the player what he potentially is. And go on there. Who would have thought, right? Even a year ago, who would have thought that we would have had a conversation within a few different episodes over the space of a season that we're talking about selling players to Premier League potentials, Premier League clubs, or the fact that our players are good enough to potentially go to any other club or for big money? Who would have thought? Let's be honest, right? Our biggest ever seller was George Saville, what we got after money back because, well, that didn't work out. So we got pretty much most of that back because they couldn't afford to pay his fees. So we got him back. So, okay, it went for about 8 million, but let's come down realistically. Before Fleming was Cahill, wasn't it? Or was it? It was either Cahill or Morrison. I think Morrison was, what, 2 million thereabouts, wasn't it, to Norwich? And I think Cahill was, what, 1.2? Yeah. So before that, it was nothing. Then we got Fleming for, what, I don't know, 6, 7, something like that. And then we've got Azeez for SA for, rumoured to be around 14 million. And go from there. Sorry, Steve. No, Matt's part of us. Matt's is a goalkeeping coach. Not full-time, are you, Matt? He's part-time as such, but Matt teaches goalkeeping skills. So hence why we're asking him about the goalkeeping stuff. So, yeah. And also, while we're talking
take any bookings.
Yeah, I bet you would, yeah. Yeah, we'll take 20% handling fee there. What was your thoughts as well? And it's another new player, and it's a player who wanted to come to us for a while. And I think that, if speaking to my Reading guy, this guy ended up putting in a transfer request because he wanted to come to us. He was like, no, I want to go. And I think, again, with the manager change and confidence put in him, the geezer's fucking unreal. Is Femi Azeez. Femi Azeez, I think he's just... You have got a different player again, Frankie.
100%, mate. And again, you need to give him credit.
Cheap.
He just didn't look. When we got him in, he struggled, right? And people were really critical, maybe too much so around Azeez at times. But he's just growing game on game, and he looks so much more confident. And again, I mean, obviously he's a bit older, but not old by any stretch. But he's not quite as old as a bit older than SA and Ivanovic. So, but yeah, who knows what these players are worth. Azeez does need to add more end product to his game. I think even today, obviously got the goal, but that's his second goal of the season, I think.
Yeah.
He next season he needs to be aiming for that 5-6 mark. Anything less than that, he's probably not hitting the numbers that a player of that ability should be hitting, because he is a top player.
Oh, I think you're right. I think the fact is that we now have players what can score. I mean, what's come on with Saville? Saville actually looks like he can take a free kick now. Start of the season, didn't look as if anyone could take a free kick. We were dog shit. But now all of a sudden, is it because, has anything changed with Saville, or is it the fact that we've now got people who can potentially score goals that are in the box?
I'll let Matt take that one, mate.
Why do you think what do you think's changed, Matt?
I don't know. As you said, at the beginning of the season, we were crying. Yeah, great answer. No, it was we were crying out for someone to take corners from set pieces, take decent corners. The amount of times we was all frustrated for those crosses hitting the first man. I don't know whether it could be a reason. One, it could be belief from Alex Neil and the coaching setup that to say these players, look, just put the decent ball in, let the ball do the rest, let the players do what they can do. Is it the fact that is he playing for a new contract? It's this time of the season where if you still has it been set in stone that they're renewing it? Are they in the shop window trying to impress other scouts, other teams to say, look what I can do? Is it the fact that competition for that area now has heated up a lot more? I think if you gave me Billy Mitchell 4 months ago, he's a different Billy Mitchell that I'm seeing right now, and the likes of Kelly coming on board, and even to an extent maybe Wintle, Casper's having an absolute unbelievable season. So competition in that midfield is heating up. Or is it a case of they're actually spending time on the training field crossing the ball? Maybe they weren't doing that. So there's a lot of variety of questions that we can ask ourselves. Why is that improved? But I think he only had one shit cross today. Funny enough, I think it was the first one, but the rest were absolutely on point in the right area, in the right danger zone, and it was up to sort of like Ivanovic and Coburn and the defence that were popping up to actually get onto the end of it. And they could that potentially is the right answer. But you know what? It's nice to see having those deliveries being whipped in, because as I said, we've got the players now that can be on the end of those balls, and even the likes of Azeez. I mean, I thought it was a tremendous flick on today. Absolutely really good flick on header, and it was a free header more than as well.
No,
and
definitely
you put the ball in. You put the ball in the right place, all it takes is someone to put their head on it. It's not down to the person who whips the cross in to worry about who's on the end of it. It's a case of the player needs to be on the end of it. So, the responsibility of that cross is probably shifted a little bit. So, there could be a lot of reasons really behind reasons behind the balls are coming in. But
no, that's it. I think also when you put a ball in, if you put a ball in at pace in the right spot, you only need to put your head there. You don't really need to do a lot with it. As long as your head's there and the ball's come in on pace, anyone, I mean, not being funny, but any one of us three could stick it in the goal, mate. If we're in the right place, dosh, it's in.
Do you know what I mean? Mate. What are you talking about? Absolutely.
What I'm saying, you could. If the ball's in the right, if you know where the ball's coming in, what I'm saying is, if the level of the skill of putting that ball in is right and with pace, realistically, you're going to get that in 9 times out of 10, rather than before the delivery wasn't exactly that great. They'd take a ball in, but it weren't necessarily in the right place. It was a couple of yards too far out or too far in, so they weren't actually there. But when it's in the right place, like it was today, it was a fantastic flick. He was in a free area. They knew where they were putting it, and he's just literally glanced his head in, and the ball, all he's done is literally just nudged that ball in. Just before we carry on, Frankie, Millwall 94. I don't know where you've got that from, but there was no clause, as far as I'm led to believe, speaking to agents and contacts I've got at Burnley, there was only a clause for appearances, which basically triggered the sale, but there was no clause for promotion or anything else, because Burnley thought they were already getting promoted anyway. So, look, good luck to Fleming. He's going to be playing in the Premier League next season. The money is the money. He is a sold player. And I have to say, good luck to him. We knew that was the path for Fleming. His club was in trouble in Holland. We know that he was coming to us to be put in the shop window. I think our mistake, if the rumours are right, that we refused 14 million for him the season before, or 12 million, I think it was the season before. I think, the current setup tried to outbluff Burnley and say, well, we want more. Burnley was like, well, third on the list. We've now got number one on the list, so we don't need you. We go away now. And then obviously they've come back and said, well, we still want him. And in theory, they've got Fleming, we think's a good price of 7 million or thereabouts is rumoured. But realistically, if we'd have fucking sold him the season before, we would have got 12 million, possibly more for him. Someone's trying to hold out for a better deal, in theory, has cost us £5 million. So, what do you do about it? But we'll see. So, yeah. For those,
it's easy with hindsight, though, isn't it? It's easy to sit there now and go, "Oh, we should have sold him when we did." When we turned down that bid with everything that was going on behind the club, and obviously the situation with John and stuff, none of us wanted to see him leave. So it's done, isn't it? It's done. We got a fee we're happy with. They got a player. They got promoted. Even if we got what he wanted, happy days.
No, that's it. There's a good question from Richard Lacey here. Will Burnley still want Fleming now they're up?
Yeah.
Do you think Fleming will make it in the Prem?
How can you possibly say that? I think there's been so many players that have absolutely taken the Championship by storm and then get into the Premier League and never really hit the height. If you look at someone like Jack Clark's really struggled for Ipswich this season. It's so hard to say. In the same breath, you look at Gyökeres and what he's done out in Portugal and stuff, and it's impossible, isn't it? But he's worth a shot, and then they're not going to get anyone better than him, are they? If we're being completely honest.
I don't think he'll play as much.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
I don't think he'll play as much as he did this season.
No, I think
he'll be a bit part player, probably League Cup, and then maybe, whatever happens come January, probably go out on loan. But I don't think he's going to get as many games as he did this season. He'll find it as a massive, massive gear change in sort of like the opposition he's playing against. But you're right. Good luck to him. His money that he brought into the club has helped us evolve even further. So he's only the first person that is the first person that started this new ball that we're rolling of selling them high, getting players in to offload them, even like to do that cycle.
But that's it though. In the space of one season, we've gone from having a conversation with our youth players of trying to convince them that we're the best team for you to be with. We have a fantastic pathway and we're this, we're that. And people going, yeah, unfortunately, I don't think you are. You don't really look at playing youth. You're not really that good with developing youth players. Who's the last player you've got here? The last big player really in the Prem you got rid of because you didn't think he was right, and now he's a class player in the Prem, etc., etc., etc. Two, change of board or change of senior management, change of focus. All of a sudden now within one season we've got 2 ex-Millwall players now playing in the Prem, and all of a sudden you're a young kid coming through. You're like, shit, the pathway's real. We've got a manager and other team within the management team who now actually want to play youth. We had another young guy today get his first start, and you're looking at it going, mate, that's the team to go to. I could get into the Championship playing a first game, and I could potentially get scouted and get into the Prem. And you're like, that weren't there 12 months ago, but it is now. So, yeah.
And absolutely. And that, so is that Sturge? He's out of contract. He's out of contract in Chelsea as well in the summertime. I'm led to believe. So you know what, why not? he's had a taste of it. If he enjoys it down here, come join us. I'd welcome him with open arms after what I saw today and what I've seen him in his bit part. So, it's a great sort of replacement.
Frankie, Norwich's response. Anything you want to say on that before we'll go a bit more? But yeah, what's your thoughts of? I just don't. I think they looked as if they've just given up.
Yeah,
didn't look bothered.
I think we can probably keep it short, mate. I mean, what response? They got a goal that they wholeheartedly did not deserve. They had one shot on target. They scored it. They had 4 shots in the whole match. They were absolutely abysmal for large spells. There's on the beach, and then there's whatever the fuck that was. That was really, really poor. And I think, to be fair to Norwich fans, I think there was obviously quite vocal, weren't they, with the "you're not fit to wear the shirt" chants, and bang on. There's a lot of good players in Norwich side. You look at people like Sains and the guy up front whose name's now Sergeant.
Sergeant.
There's some real quality in there. Where was that today? They were terrible. Credit to us.
No.
Credit to us. We made them look poor.
No, that's it.
But you'd be devastated. You'd be gutted with that if you were a Norwich fan. You spent your bank holiday Monday travelling down there, spending your hard-earned money to watch that shower. You'd be furious.
No, that's it. So yeah, got a troll. I was expecting a few of these today, but there we go. You talk so much rubbish, Mickey. Thanks very much, but you're still watching. So even if it's to give me abuse, thanks very much. All the viewing numbers count, and there we go.
Like and subscribe.
Yeah, why not, eh? Peter Sullivan, we need to improve and extend Ivanovic's contract. I think he's got 4 years, to be fair, so he's not too bad there. Alex Neil has improved so many of our players, Ivanovic especially. Don't forget Alzheimer's. Next season will be a lot tougher than this season. A lot of the old guard will have to go. Saville should be one of them. Yeah, we did that on the last show. Friday night, didn't we? Thursday night, we discussed who you think will go and not. So, Fleming put Fleming in the team with this manager, and we would have been 3rd or 4th. Yeah, if we accepted that bid, we probably got relegated. I don't think. Gone.
While she was talking, I was looking in the rules about what we talked about earlier around emergency loans. You can get in an emergency loan if you haven't got a player that's made 5 or more senior first team appearances, which I think at the minute Evans hasn't. So in theory, we could.
Yeah,
I think to Matt's point originally, is that the right thing to do? Is that the right answer? Like, I'm not convinced it is, and I think you can only get them for 7 days. So if you got them now, you might have them for the semi-finals of potential playoffs or whatever, but you wouldn't get them any further field than that. So what is the point?
No.
That's the point, really. I think they'll just ride it out.
Fleming won't play against us, really, I don't think.
No.
Because technically, he's still on loan. So even though at the end of the season, there's an obligation to buy, I'll get this checked, but there's an obligation to buy. But as far as because he didn't play against us last time, did he? When we played them, when they played us at the Den, he didn't play.
Yeah.
So yeah, as far as I'm led to believe, he won't play. Because technically he's on loan. So yeah, which would be a result really. Which would mean that at least then he won't be able to score. It's different with Esse because I think he was an FA Cup side, so they could play him. So yeah. Connor says there, releasing Esse was the biggest mistake we made, but we didn't prioritise youth back then. Yeah, I suppose you're probably right, to be fair. It was one of those, so... Yeah,
we weren't the only club to release him, though, were we?
No. Allegedly, he had a bad attitude back then, wasn't it? So, yeah. No, that's it. So, yeah. Serge's contract is up in May, no-brainer, surely. Quick ball, tall, good on the ball. I think you're right there. Andrew Roberts says, Mickey, after Fleming, more foreign players from abroad will want to come to a club like us, knowing they have a pathway to the Premier League if they do well. Absolutely, fully agree with you. And I think that was it. So, yeah, I was pleased to get rid of Fleming. Yeah, I think Fleming was starting to switch off on and I think he had to go. So, yeah. Fleming, they could pay 7 million and sell to relegated team for 10 before next season? Yeah, maybe, but I can't see. I think that I think he's owed a shot in the Premier League, whether or not he makes it or not. I think he's still there. So yeah, mad. They have 2 top goal scorers of the league. You talk selling players, need to talk about RBW one good season. I think the problem we've got with him at the moment is that he's young. I think he'll settle in, but I think the problem is that they don't want to risk, because he's had an injury this season. I think they just don't want to risk pushing him hard in case that injury just stays there. And I think that's the problem you've got with him. But I think that he's fully part of the plan going forward. Him on one side, Femi on the other, with Ivanovic and Coburn, or Ivanovic and Langstaff, or other players. I don't know. There was rumour that Nesbitt, which I don't believe, but coming back. I mean, you've got fast pace in those wings, what can drop balls in. So there is potential there, isn't there? Frank?
Yeah, there's definitely a player in there. He's definitely one for us to keep an eye on. I do think it'd be good to get your thoughts this Matt as well. I think he's probably one we need to manage your expectation on a little bit. He come on sort of hit the ground running. He's still a young kid that's finding his feet. So this for me, he's still very much a work in progress, in my opinion. I don't know what your thoughts are.
I mean, well, absolutely right. I mean, if he comes in, and it's like with any of the young players, that they come in, no pressure, shackles off, play your natural game, and then after a while, when you might see him sort of like get a bit, don't say it so derogatory, but a little bit above their station, rein him back in, just put him on the bench, just let him embrace it all again, so that he gets that hunger again to get back onto that pitch. And I think that's exactly what we need to do with these young players, is do that. A little bit of a cycle of play a few games, come out of the limelight a little bit, realise that maybe that's something that we're missing, then straight back in it. And that is the pleasure of having a squad like we've got at the moment. Just sort of like, let me digress a little bit. Yes, we got all these injuries today, but you look at that bench that we had, all right, whether they were 100% match fit, who knows? But you look at those players that were on the bench with sort of like, with the exception of Jakub in goal, 8 of those players, you would have easily started them. All right, we may not be in the position we are, but you would have started them in some capacity, one way or another. And that's a joy to see. Maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we would have probably have had 5 or 6 youngsters on the bench because we just couldn't fill the bench at one point. I remember, was it one of Norwich games? I think it was last year or the year before at their place. We had Bar and Truman on the bench. We had to have 2 goalkeepers on it because we couldn't fill the bench. So you know what? These youngsters come in and let them enjoy themselves. Like Kendall, for example, was another one. Come on the bench, just embrace it. Came on against Dagenham. Yes, it was only Dagenham, but he came on. Another one would be Baker. Exactly. Just be around the first team, embrace it, enjoy it, and then and Matthews is a prime example. And I'm really hoping we'll see AJ Matthews very, very soon. Really like the lad. That he's around the first team, and even if he gets 10, 15 minutes, no pressure, go and play, go and enjoy yourself. And that's exactly what we've got to do with Bangor Williams. We know he's a talent, we know he's exciting, we know full well that if we ever let him go, it's going to be of a 10 million plus value if he carries on sort of like trajectory that he's going on. So just let him play, let him enjoy it, let people look at him, but then bring him back in, rein him back in, and just nurture him further. And then, as I say, next season you'll see again one of our youngsters come through, and it'll be the Roman essay Mac 2 sort of thing with Ray's Bangor Williams. I mean, Mickey, we saw him against Cray at the beginning of last season, didn't we, at Cray Wanderers, and we just thought, bloody hell, what's a player. He absolutely dominated that game. Yes, it was a pre-season, but what a game. Oh, what a player. So, just let him, just get him in there, few games where he's absolutely stand out, and then bring him back off, and then put him back on again, and just keep that cycle going. And I'll guarantee he'll be our first 15 to 20 million pound sale.
Frankie, do me a favour, check RBW. I think he signed a new contract not long ago, didn't he? I thought he signed a 3-year contract not long ago. So yeah, I just wanted to double check that. So yeah, and there we go. Have we ever seen?
It won't say how long it was because never fucking does it?
No. That's it. Will we ever see a Millwall player in the England squad? I think we might.
England B, 1990.
I think we might. I think SA could well be that player, that first player we see, because he was picked for the under-21s. I think possibly him, but I think with some of the other guys coming through, we well might see it in the next 5-10 years' time. But again, I think they don't really pick players for the Championship, so we'd need these players to be sold, or we need to be in the Prem. So yeah, I want to discuss while I flip through the bits here. I'm going to come on to RBW and your thoughts on him and whatnot towards the end. But this is potentially Norwich's worst Championship finish while they've been in the Championship. I mean, they've had, 1 win in 10, and it's probably their worst finish in the Championship since 2009. But I don't think that even takes away any of the shine from how we performed today. I think we just embarrassed them. We just made them look even worse than what they really are. Frankie?
Well,
Yeah,
we've got some talent.
Go on, Matt. You can go first, mate.
I'll just echo what you said earlier. They've got some unbelievable players. I mean, Sarah, is it Sarah? You've got Sargent, you've got Moncondes, O'Neill Hernandez coming on for crying out loud today. There's obviously something fundamentally not right there. Whether these players are being around the Championship long now and they're being found out, or is the Championship getting even more competitive with the likes of ourselves, Bristol, Coventry, all up there now? So it's not your usual top 6 that are going to be there year in, year out. They're always and they're very open, and they don't seem to be a bit more tight knit. So they like to play open, expansive football, and I think that's down to their manager. I think, as I say, he's a young manager, a bit like the Brighton manager, likes to play open football, and play it out. I noticed that when we played over Christmas at their place, very open. If we were a better team on that day, we could have beaten them. And I think even before our game, Portsmouth exactly done that right on Good Friday, where they banged 5 past them. So personally, he's one of the. Is it one of the worst teams they've ever familiar? Well, the fans obviously didn't enjoy it, but again, or is it a case of that the Championship is just getting better and better, and teams are now getting stronger and stronger, and they're not one of these clubs that haven't got the God-given right now to be, well, we're top 6 because we're Norwich City. So, that could be the answer, really.
Frankie?
They're only 1 point above Portsmouth, who up until last week were in a relegation battle. They were shocking today, and I think there is a little bit of a cautionary tale with Norwich in this sense for Millwall, of like, so when it could selling your players and getting money in and be able to recoup figures from these players, if you don't then put that into a squad properly and properly reinvest, it doesn't work. And if I had if I can make a really early prediction for next year, I reckon Russell Mike will be their manager next season. Obviously, he played for Norwich. I can't see this man just sticking around. He's done a terrible job there. That just feels like such a shoe-in for that club, doesn't it? That he'll go there, get a style of play that they probably all quite like, and they'll bore their way into 12th next season. But yeah, they're a poor side.
Oh, mate, they are really poor. I mean, there seems to be a lot in there. I mean, Peter Sullivan says, that Norwich have never reduced Pookie. Yeah. It's one of those. We've got Jay coming in now, who's saying their second highest scorers and second highest conceded in the league. The problem is defensively and poor goalkeeping. I mean, poor goalkeeping. I mean, they got one of our good keepers, George Long, and that's helped them, be so good at defensive. And And don't forget, Alex Neil was there and obviously saw the light and got the fuck out. And now he's here. So hopefully we will. Oh, I'm losing signal again. I'm back.
Yeah.
So let's go on to the final there. So so the match stats then, obviously we won 3-1, two goals from Ivanovic, 8th and the 69th minute, and then obviously Azeez on the 39th. Norwich managed to score one back between half time. Possession was 42%, 58% Norwich. Shots on target for Millwall 5, 1 for Norwich. The corners we won on 5 and 4. Yellow cards, unfortunately, Norwich won those 3-1. I suppose a question for the comments, for those of you watching now and get involved in the comments. Player of the match. Who was your man of the match? Was it Ivanovic or Azeez or Femi? Frankie, who would your player of the match be between those two?
I'm going to go for Ivanovic. You get 2 goals. We walk out with man match award.
Do you know what amazed me? Is his uncle come out in the week and went, okay, he didn't score on Friday. He really didn't score on Friday, but there's still time left. There's 3 games left. He'll get a few goals. And you're thinking like, yeah, it's just a family, giving it a big and blah, blah, blah. And fuck me, he comes in today and scores 2. I wouldn't be surprised if he don't score another 2 and another 2 before the end of the season, just to get his numbers up. What's the leading goal scoring? Realistically, how many goals does he need to do to get in the top 5?
Joel Peru's got 19. Borja Sainz from Norwich is on 17. Josh Brown, Burnley 16, and then I think it was, we did this earlier, didn't we? I think we said it was
15.
Josh Sargent, then 15. Tommy Conway 13. So if he could pit Tommy Conway to top 5,
which is mental. For first time in the Championship, and the fact that we were led to believe he was shit, and first full season when he ain't played every game to score 13 goals. You imagine how many goals he'd have scored if he played 46 games.
Handful more, yeah.
Scary, isn't it? Absolutely scary, but yeah, we'll see. We're getting there. So yeah. So the next game is at home next week against Swansea, who again aren't doing great.
We're 93 points.
Do you
Matt,
think...
who's your man, Matt? Sorry, mate.
Sorry, Matt.
I would have. That's right. No, I would have given it to Azeez personally. I thought he was definitely. I thought he was outstanding today. I thought not just going forward, but back in, supporting Sturge at the back. And he's just running at the back line. Made me feel like he deserved it. But yeah, you can't take any away from Ivanovic. And something funny you should mention about that. When we played Borough, and it was something that I highlighted, I thought he didn't score against Borough, but his hold-up play up front on his own was unbelievable that game as well. So definitely he's maturing into being a solo striker as well as a one that's got a 2 with a 2. But it was a close call between him and Azeez for that man of match. Also, I've got to throw in Tanganga as well. I thought he was unreal today. Getting in the tackles and doing really well. So yeah, between them 3, I definitely would have picked Azeez.
Yeah, I think most of the chat, by the looks of it, is picking Ivanovic as well. So yeah, just before we do start to finish up, I mean, we've been on for a little while now. Just before we do, the press conference is live on YouTube now. If you're watching on Twitter and you haven't seen it and you want to go back and watch it, it's there to watch. A question for everyone, guys on the panel, as well as you guys in the chat. Can we still sneak into the playoffs, do you think? Or do you think it's well out of our control? It's just a dream. But, I mean, we never thought we'd get the results we did today. Most of them are 3-1. and the fact that all of those around us lost. I mean, is it possible? Could it be possible? Or are we just fucking wishful thinking? Frankie?
It's possible.
And those in the comment, let us know. Let us know whether or not you think it is a yes or a no to, do you think we could still possibly sneak into the playoffs? And don't forget, we have been here before with Blackburn a couple of seasons ago, and they, we thought it was on, and yet the team decided it wasn't. So, yeah.
It's absolutely possible, mate. Like, there's 2 games to play. Win both your games. See where it leaves you. Until it's mathematically impossible, you've got to believe. Do I think we'll do it? Is a very different question. I don't think we will. We've since we come back up to the Championship, we haven't finished 7th. So whilst it'll be gutting, even if we could get 7th, that is an achievement this year. So
100%. That's the highest we've ever been
since we come up. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah.
Is it possible?
Are you asking me?
Yes, mate.
You're the only man
sorry.
on it.
Yeah, sorry. It's not impossible, definitely. I think what will hurt us more is the fact that we've got -1 goal difference. I mean, there's a 6-goal swing between us and Coventry. I mean, I'm looking at the fixtures ahead. It could all be change at 2:00 next week when Coventry are away to Luton. Just looking at the fixtures, and that's a 12:30 kickoff. So, Luton need a result. Which, funny enough, the bottom half of this championship is incredible, by the way. And Bristol City have got to go to Leeds, which arguably Leeds will not want to take their foot off the gas because they want to go for that championship. I think Middlesbrough are home to Norwich next week. So, if it's the same Norwich that turn up today, Middlesbrough will probably win that. And West Brom are away to Cardiff. And I believe Tony Mowbray's just got the bullets. So, that's
he's just been fired.
Two teams without a manager, so to speak. So, and Blackburn are at home to Watford. So, it's not impossible. Whether I think it would happen, I probably don't think it will. I think it's too little, too late. But you know what? What bloody good journey we're on, and what a roller coaster of an end of season we're having. It's exciting, and you're right. The way we're going to finish our highest position in such a long time. And, who would have said that before Christmas, that this is the position where we'd finish? Probably none of us, to be honest, will answer that question. But it's been a fantastic second half of the season. I still think it's a fantastic acquisition in Alex Neil. That's helped us massively get this. And yeah, do you know what? If it happens, it happens. Likelihood is it probably won't happen because, as I said, goal difference will be a killer. And we obviously still got to try and go to Burnley, especially if Burnley's still in the mix, wants to win the league. It's going to be an interesting last game of the season. I know we'll have a good crowd up there, but no, I personally think it's just a little. We will fall short of the hurdle, so to speak. But I bloody well enjoyed it. That's for certain.
No, that's it. So yeah. Dane Taylor says no goal difference too high. Andrew Roberts says yes. They are up, but can Burnley still be champions if they beat us last game of the season? If so, it'll be tough as they all want to sign off with a win and clinch the championship. Chris says I won't be putting my pension on it. Ben Out says we can mathematically, probably won't, but the important thing is that we managed to turn around a season. We managed to turn around a season that away our manager brands arts of the fans of the club thickos before walking out on the club. Daily Mill says as soon as 5th or 6th get 69 points or drop points, then it's over. Peter says who's been fired? Tony Mowbray, which I think's mad considering that they brought him back and he's only been there a few games really, and he ain't been there much. And Steve says when within the last hour. It's on BBC News as well that he's been fired. Connor says last season, if we said next year we would be 3 points off the playoffs, we would be laughing. 100%. Let's be honest. And I mean, go back to the beginning of these shows. There was quite a few guys on here. I had faith, but there was quite a few guys on here who basically said it's a relegation battle, and we are in relegation. It'll be interesting to see. We'd have to do a review with Omar and Ben's season. You know, the pre-season show where they give their thoughts and etc. Because I think they probably had Millwall finishing 18th, 19th. So it'll be a good watch to laugh at them, I suppose. So yeah. Bad injuries have plagued us this season. So many influential players out for long periods. Yes. We're going to look into that as well, because there's been a lot of that around other teams, and we've been having a big chat on it in what's called it, excuse the typos. They saw us turn around the season, which our manager branded parts of the club thickos. Yep, no, I got what you meant to say. Yeah, no worries. Jay says Mowbray won 5 in 17. B Line says 108 viewers. On YouTube, 23 likes. Tight light wankers. His words, not mine. Baggies fans weren't impressed with Mowbray. He kept playing Jed. BFS, I think he'll be back next season. He's injured at the minute, I think. So, yeah. Frankie, you got anything else you want to say, fella?
No, mate. I think it was a fantastic performance today. I don't think many of us expected much from the game after the injuries and after Friday. So, a nice return to form. Keeps us streaming for another 2 games, doesn't it? Keeps us deluding ourselves. So, you can't fault the club. You can't fault the work Neil's done. And it's an exciting time to be a Millwall fan, right?
100%. If this is what we got looked forward to for next season, mate, then it's definitely going to be an exciting time. Matt, any last words, mate? Apart from happy birthday.
Thanks. It's almost over now, which is a shame. Back to work tomorrow, but great result, great performance today. Let's just enjoy the ride while we can. You know, let's not worry about what other people are doing. We'll just carry on doing what we're doing. Let's go to Swansea at home, get 3 points, and remember, stay off the pitch.
Yeah, I think the FA are having a thing about that, to be fair. So, yeah, especially after today. I think where Burnley was, a load of Sheffield United fans get on the pitch, didn't they, I think, and cause chaos. So, yeah, it looks as if there was a bit of trouble there. Remember, it is a criminal offence to go on a pitch. As much as it don't normally happen, I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't, because the point you've got to understand is there's a World Cup coming, right? And the police are shitting a brick at the minute with the fact that there's a lot of football fans potentially who are going to be travelling to America. So they are looking to stop people travelling, and being able to nick the 1 or 2 they've been trying to nick all season but haven't done anything wrong. You go on a pitch, they've got a reason. It's a criminal offence. They can nick you. That will then get you a football banning order. That will mean that your passports need to be handed in, and they win. So just be aware. If you're a little bit known, maybe don't run on the pitch with your family for a photo, because you could get yourself nicked. And is it really worth 5 minutes of 5 minutes to get a selfie? Is it that bad? Because if you want to get on the pitch, I'm sure if you emailed the club and asked if you could come on a pitch and take a photo when there's no one playing, you just save yourself the hassle and the grief. Thanks very much for listening. If you come back to this later, then obviously please do watch it back. The press conference is at the beginning, or watch the press conference on its own. If you're listening to this as a podcast, thank you very much. Please do make sure you like and follow on your podcast provider. And those of you watching on YouTube, please do make sure you like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss a show, because it is quite scary how many people watch the show and how many aren't actually subscribed to us. It's nothing apart from just pressing that button, and it makes the world to us, and it costs you absolutely nothing. And it means we can keep doing what we're doing. So thank you very much. We will see you Friday night live before Swansea at home. And I think we'll be all there. Well, we're all there for a beer, but Frankie's running off afterwards because he's going to go watch a quite small boxing match, aren't you, Frankie, I think?
Yes, mate. Selfishly, we've been convenient if results went against us today, so I could sneak out against Swansea a bit early. Apparently, that's not going to happen. So it'd be a run over to North London for me.
And there we go. We will see you all on Friday night. Thanks very much to Nigel, the Norwich fan, who listened to us tonight. Other than that, I'm done, and I found the right video.
Oh, giddy up and get away.